We heard this discussion start by Gershon saying what he thought the solution was, and he talked about the two-state solution is the only solution to this. And actually that word only is what got me down this path. I remember, and of course we can disagree, Gershon, I remember years ago having read the statements of people like Netanyahu, King Hussein, Yasser Arafat, Abbas, and when they all talk about solutions, they would all start by saying the only solution, which implies one, but yet each one of them has a different solution. And that just doesn't work. And I think when you look for a solution, you really have to look, we have to be honest with each other, and we have to understand the needs. What is going on here? There's a lot of commotion up there. We have to understand there are certain bases and different people within different. Yeah, I'm actually losing the concentration here because of. Okay. The Israeli and Palestinian populations has different groups who have different beliefs. For many Israelis, Israel is not the Israel that became a state in 1948. We have to recognize that. To many Israelis, Israel includes the West Bank and Gaza, and that's Judea and Samaria, and including what many call Gaza. If you cannot ignore that when you look for a solution. They believe they have religious, historical, and emotional ties to all of this. I, as a Muslim, understand this. But you also have to understand, for Palestinians, Palestine is not the West Bank and Gaza. For Palestinians, Palestine is the West Bank and Gaza and Israel. And Jordan, for that matter. Yes, we also, now I don't say this to offend anyone. I'm saying when you find a solution or when you try to make a solution, you have to look at all this. You have to consider all this. When a settler tells you, I believe I have a right to be in the West Bank or in Judea and Samaria, you have to consider that. You have to recognize, hey, this person has attachment. So can we find a solution that will allow the settler to stay there without having to move? I think you have to try to, if you can, to find a solution where the settler can stay. And can you find a solution where a Palestinian who's from Ain Karim or Haifa can actually live in Ain Karim and Haifa? You have to look at that. And that's, if you want a real solution, we have to have an honest discussion. And I think reasonable people, if we're honest with each other, we can do this. We can do this. And this is why it's very important to me. It was very important to me that we include all of you. I see some of my friends from the settler community over there, and I want you to know you are welcome here today. You are very welcome here. And I see some people who are opposed to settlements, and you are welcome here today. And the point is, but I want you to have a discussion with each other. And hopefully you can walk out holding hands and eating hummus together. And I'll buy the falafel. But the point is, we have to do it this way. We have to do it this way. You cannot just tell people the only solution is one state or two state and not care about what the people want. You will never reach a solution that way. I assure you, it's been tried for 60 years and you got zero. You got zero. You have to recognize my right too as a Palestinian. You have to recognize my right. And I'll give you a simple story before we go on. My wife is from Jerusalem. I married her last year. She lived in Jerusalem all her life. When she left, I mean, like many Palestinians in Jerusalem, they have to fight in court just for their residency. When we left, we needed something for her to travel on because her residency wasn't out yet, so we were forced to get a Palestinian ID. So you know what that means? After 1 year, when we returned here today, she had to come in as a visitor. We had to go somewhere and beg Israeli authorities to give her a one-day visa to come to Jerusalem where her family lives. You have to understand, this is the life the Palestinians live in this country. It's a terrible existence. And when you find a solution, you have to consider that. That's all we're saying. And so, going back to my theme about talking to everyone, why it's important. One of the things that we wanted is we think it's important to involve universities. It's important to involve students. And we think it's important, for example, in the future that the curricula of schools stop teaching negative stuff about the other communities and focusing on teaching mutual respect for all religions. This is very important, and this applies to Jewish and Palestinian territories. We think it's important for universities and colleges to be part of this discussion because they are the leaders of the future. So we want universities such as Birzeit, Al-Quds, Hebrew University to be part of this, and we are inviting them. And we are lucky to actually, although we started inviting the universities late in the game, we had one university that responded early. And so we have one of their leaders today who wanted to say a few words about their effort to reach out to other. It's an Israeli university who actually is reaching out to Palestinian universities, try to make something happen, and they happen to be of the settler movement. And so I said, hey, why don't you come give us your vision? Come tell us about how you're trying to reach out to Palestinians. So I want to invite Yigal Cohen Ogad of the Ariel University to come and tell us about his visions for peace and how they're reaching out to Palestinian students and Palestinian universities. Thank you, everybody. A lot of clap for Yigal. Thank you.
Thank you.